Jen. Hi, Kendra. Hi, Chelsea.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Hello.
Good, yourself?
Good. Much better than yesterday. Still like trying
Did
to
you
figure out
get,
what day and time it is, but yesterday I felt like we were zombies all day.
I was gonna
As
say,
you
did you
should
get caught
be.
up on any sleep?
Yeah, no, we definitely are sleeping, but it's weird. Like, we left Sunday night, Fiji, around like 10 p.m. and we landed Sunday night at like 10 p.m., because you're over the international date line. And so like we feel like we like skipped Sunday, or you know what I mean? Like we did it twice,
Yeah.
but like on the way there, like we left on Sunday and arrived on Tuesday. So like just the travel time and like not really sleeping, like a little bit on planes, like it messes with you. It's an 18-hour time zone difference. So like
Yeah.
right now it's what's 11 minus 6? It's like 5 in the morning, but the next day. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
That's weird.
yeah. So like when we
Ugh.
came home and it was like 11 o'clock at night, but it was like 3 in the afternoon. I was like, well, how are we gonna go to bed? So,
Yeah.
but we did,
Yeesh.
and we're both feeling much better today. So, Chelsea, I don't know if you're able to turn your camera on. April Braun is sick. She just texted me. Poor thing has like been stomach flu all night long. Miranda's traveling to DC. Kathy's at a meth, like a something that they're voting on the ballot, that she's like working on. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see how today goes. Might be super small and intimate and personal, which is great. And then they can all catch the recording. But it was just like all of a sudden, people telling me what's going on today. So I'm excited to see you guys. Look at you, Chelsea. You guys, she's due in like a couple weeks. When, how you feeling?
I'm so over it.
Oh,
No, you're not loving it. Well, you look great. You look
Yeah.
cute.
Thanks.
God.
When's your
last
due date?
are always the hardest.
June
June
9th.
what though?
June 9th.
Yeah, you're getting close. 1 month, home stretch.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you have questions, Kendra and Emily are new moms. They probably have tips, things that are fresh in their head. Anything that you guys want to ask about? Anything before we kind of dive into today? Any questions? Anything?
No.
Okay, cool. If you do, just know and interrupt me at any time. But are you guys looking at the slides? Did that share okay?
Yes.
Yes, it just came up.
Okay, perfect. So week 4, I missed you guys last week, but I feel like we're just cruising right along here. This one's all about cultivating confidence, both in yourself and then obviously with developing a team or any type of leadership coaching. If you have employees, if you're working with colleagues, and I think that this is something that I try to share some stories along the way that not only help me with my own journey, but then of course with developing a team as well. And so before we get into any of that, I'd really like to just kind of kick off with the swag. I think it helps us get us in a mindset, it helps us get vulnerable, helps us kind of see where other people are at. So any of you guys want to jump out and share just for last week or the week before, kind of what's going on right now?
I'll go. I'm struggling with just time blocking and with my calendar. It just seems to be a constant battle with me. I was like double booked for something on Monday that somehow one of the events didn't make it on my calendar. So just really going to take time this week to sit down and just deep dive into my calendar and time block and stay strict to my availability, right? Because that can get, as the only person, I could be like, oh yeah, let me take all these appointments, and then now I can't serve everybody in the way that they need to be served. A win. I seem to be, I met my client goal for May, so I'm really excited about that. Asking, I don't know yet.
For May, not for April?
Yeah. So like my goal is four new clients a month, and I've already got 4 new client appointments booked for May. So technically,
Oh, wow.
I'm at my capacity for May. And if I'm seeing anybody else, I need to be booking them in June in order to honor my time and their time.
That's awesome. I just was making sure because I was like, it's only May 2nd. I was like, maybe she meant April, but good job.
Yeah.
Way to go. Okay.
As long as those 4 keep their appointments, then I meet my goal. So that's my swag.
What's your ask and your goal?
I don't know my ask yet. Just give me time to figure out my calendar. Give me grace. And then my goal is to keep this momentum, really, to be able to to structure my calendar so that I can say without a doubt, like, these are the days I'm available and these are when I'm not, and just set those clear boundaries.
Yeah, no, this is really good. And I know it can help with a lot of people. And you guys, we all kind of do different things, but that skill set, this entrepreneurial time management thing is applicable to all of us. So one of the things that I would encourage you, Kendra, with like keeping to that is put yourself back into the shoes when you worked in the firm, right? Like if you had a meeting with your boss or there was like, you were in court, like you couldn't do anything else, right? Now, granted, one of the reasons that we work for ourselves is because we want flexibility and we don't want that rigidness. And, you know, we want to be able to get on in our hoodies and you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. And so it's kind of like this teeter-totter game of like, yes, I want the flexibility, but to what extent does it kind of cost me my business, especially with things that are income producing activities. So there's probably more juggle room in like certain coffee appointments. There's certain things in your social media. There's certain things in like what I would call recognition. But if you were going to do like client appreciation gifts or, you know, things of that sort that have, they can be adjusted in your calendar, but like the things that are your non-negotiables, like obviously client appointments, any type of events that you're hosting, and trying to do that. And with that though, is just boundaries. Like one of the reasons you did this and that you didn't go back to work is because you did want some time as a new mom, you know, that you didn't want to be commuting, that you didn't want to be burning out. And especially once like you have a month like this month that you go, oh my gosh, I've met my goal, right? Like I'm already there. That keeping that momentum, I would challenge you, and I know that this is going to sound tricky, but really challenge you to now hold yourself to that when people are requesting your time, to be able to say, this is my next available June 1st or June 10th or something like that, because even though you're probably going, technically I could do it, you know, and I could move it or I could get them in here, that's what's going to get you burnt out and that's what's going to be frustrated. And someone who's really seeking out your services, they're going to wait. Like if I called today to get an appointment with my dentist, I'm not going to get in. Like we all know I'm going to wait, right? I mean, that's why they have you book out 6 months in advance. Same thing. If I called my CPA today, he would send me a calendar link for something in June. There's no way I would be able to just get on his books right now. And being able to really kind of treat yourself to that standard that you're not going to lose these clients, right? People that have gone this long without having a will or this long without the things that they need to get in place, that if you don't make time for them by next Thursday, they're not going to go to somebody else, right? And they're actually going to respect you and be like, oh my gosh, like I have to wait for her. She's the real deal. That really kind of keep that boundary as a way to keep that momentum and excitement in your business. Cool. Thanks for sharing. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into this. I don't know if you guys know Simon Sinek. I love him. He's the author of It Starts With Why. He is a really, really, really famous YouTube. It's like a 10-minute TED Talk. I would encourage you to watch it if you never have. But a quote is, a true value of a leader is not measured by the work they do. A leader's true value is measured by the work they inspire others to do. So just a little bit of like motivation, but just remembering that the reason that you're in business for yourself is less about what we're doing for ourselves and more about kind of what we're doing for others. So this class is all about confidence and how to really be a good leader for others, how to show up in your business, how to show up in a way that people trust you, that they see your posture, that they see your conviction, and really then how does that lead to success in your business? So learning how to be a great leader, of course, is going to help with success of your team. It's going to help with the overall organization. It's going to help with how you work with coworkers. It's going to help with your client interactions as well. And really understanding that to be an effective leader, an effective business owner, you first have to understand your own motivation, strengths, and weaknesses. Like before we really can work on the relationships with others, it's about doing some self-reflection and being like, what am I really good at? You know, what drives me and what are some areas that I need to improve upon? And then understanding that great leaders connect with other people by having open communication. They really encourage other people to have growth development and saying, like, I see you here, being able to get in the vision cast, being able to see people in a place that they haven't gone yet, and also being able to give and receive feedback. You know, it's one thing to be able to have the confidence and the surety to say, hey, you're doing great, but I think we could improve upon here. But also being able to receive it and not be defensive and not shut down and not personalize when someone suggests something that can kind of really help you along the way. And so as we're going through this, today, I would encourage you guys, maybe just start to jot down some things that come up on like, here's some things that I'm doing really, really, really well, or here's some things that I'm not doing really well. And I remember when people first started telling me I was a leader, like, oh, you're such a good leader. You're going to be, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I work for myself, I was like, what are you talking about leadership? It just didn't really align. And they say, if you have one client, you're a leader because one person has invested in you, one person is trusting in you. And then as you kind of start working with other people, you see the value in that. But the pressure we can put on ourselves or the areas that we hold ourselves back is really kind of what I want to be able to focus on with you today. So we think about the confidence is the key to success. Like without confidence, people will not get out of their comfort zone. And in order to reach your utmost potential, you have to get out of your comfort zone. But if the noise in the head is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not deserving enough, I can never do that, that will never happen for me. There isn't that little bit in the fuel tank that helps you take the leap, that actually helps you kind of go for the risk or do the things that are out of your comfort zone. Without a healthy level of confidence, I truly don't think you can be the best version of yourself because all those limiting beliefs are going to hold you back. Instead of being able to say, like, I can own this business, I can have these clients, I can make this amount of money, I can land this speaking gig, kind of whatever that may be. Really understanding that the confidence is your belief in your ability to succeed. And the reason that that's so important is because the belief stimulates action. So when I think about people in network marketing, which is, what I've been doing for 10 years, the difference of people who have really had success with this and the people that have not, so much it's confidence. It's the confidence when they reach out to someone, that if someone says no, they're not rejecting them, they're just saying they're not interested. It's the confidence of being able to post on social media and not worry about the judgment, because there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people that are not a fan, that are rolling their eyes at what you're doing, but to be able to put on your blinders and say, like, it's not up to me to worry about what you think of me. I'm going to do this regardless because this is what I believe in. And this is something that is so true to me, or I have a strong values in. It's the difference of being able to get up in the front of the room and give a presentation. Some people that are absolutely so nervous to public speak or be able to do a sales pitch or anything of that sort. And so I want you guys to remember that the confidence in your own ability to succeed, the belief that you can do that, is what's going to stimulate the action. And we're going to go through today, obviously, some different things on how to improve this if you're feeling like you're not there right now. But if there's things that are on your wish list, or you're going, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do that, or I want to be able to take these next steps, and you're feeling that resistance, the area that we need to work on is less of the how or the what, right? Because we can get so lost in the details, but more on just your belief that you can do it and trusting that if you can do it, the resources are there. People have done it. Your mentors are there. Your network is there. But it really starts with within yourself. So when I think about 5 benefits of having confidence, these are in no particular order, and this is a not exhaustive list by any means, shapes, or forms. But one of them is it experiences less fear and anxiety. When we're trapped in this place of what are people going to think about me, or people pleasing, or doing things because we're worried on how we're going to show up instead of doing it where we're aligned, instead of sticking true to those core values, there's way less fear and anxiety. When we're trapped in the other place, the whole thing is based on what are people going to think, or what if it's not good enough. Another one is that it's going to increase that motivation. When you have the confidence to go after things, there's drive, there's hunger, there's this belief that you can do anything that you set your mind to. It absolutely will make you more resilient. So I was texting with a girl today, and I just in all caps said, you have got to be emotionally steely. When you're an entrepreneur and you're in business for yourself, no matter what comes your way, if it's a return, if it's a bad Yelp review, if it's someone that said something bad on social media, it's being able to say, like, what you think about me is none of my business. That's a great book, by the way, if you've never read it. What you think of me is none of my business. But there's a difference of, again, being open to that positive feedback or some type of constructive criticism, or people who are not out to hurt you and really want to help you. But in any sales organization, right, in any business organization, the statistics are 20% are going to love you. No matter what you do, no matter how you screw up, they're always going to love you, right? And then 20%, no matter what you do, no matter how you try to impress them, how you try to please them, they're always going to dislike you. And then you have 60% that are your fair weather fans that are going to come in and out of the game. That's the statistic. So in order to say, okay, well, only 20% are completely on board, I've got another 80% that are out of, alignment or possibly judging me, or, they're going to be in and out of the game. Like, that's up to you to kind of create that wall around your mindset to not let yourself go in and out of the game based on how they feel about you. Knowing that your relationships will improve. When you're a confident person, the people you surround yourself with, the people you network with, the people you do business with, you continue to put yourself in a circle of influence and affluence when you're more confident, and then your authentic ability will shine through. When someone's not confident, people have great thoughts and great ideas, but they don't express them because they're in that fear and anxiety of how are other people going to interpret this. And when you're confident, like, you are able to make bold statements, you're able to express your opinions, you're able to even argue with people or take a different approach, not in a negative way, but to play devil's advocate, or if you didn't agree with it, because you're confident in your belief. So when we think about, like, why is this important in the workplace, or why is this important with a team, or why is this important with your clients or with coworkers? If you're confident, you're going to communicate more effectively. So confidence allows you to speak concisely and with clarity. So I want you guys to just think for a second about a time that you witnessed a situation where someone was not very confident in the amount of words that they were using to defend a situation, or there's like so much jargon, it's so busy. You're like, what are you even talking about? Because they try to kind of fill in these gaps of where they're lacking, as opposed to someone who's 10 feet tall and bulletproof of what they believe in, and they show up, and less is more. They know exactly what they stand and the way that they show up, and everybody around them respects that. They can receive it and they see how they are articulating that. Super, super important. Professionals who communicate with confidence can convey what they want in a clear and efficient manner. And really, this communication is important for career advancements. It's important for referrals. It's important for networking. And I think sometimes when we've received emails that are so long, right? And you're like doing this, and you're like, what in the world is this person even trying to do? And because they're worried about what they're saying is not enough, there's like this overcompensation. But some of the most effective emails that have come in that have said, here's my idea, here's what I need, this is what I need you to do. And it's like, boom, you go right into action because it's simple. And I want you to think about that too when you're communicating to people, when you're sending proposals, when you're scheduling events, even when you're introducing people to other people. So much of what we do as self-employed individuals is relationship building and networking. And as much as I'm flattered if I get these long emails of an introduction or something, sometimes it's way too much and it almost takes it away, the value for both people. But when someone will say, like, hey, this is Lauren, she owns her own business, she runs a networking group in Denver. Hey, this is Jen, she's a small business owner, she's looking to get connected with some small, business groups. I thought I'd introduce you guys. It's clear, it's concise, it's efficient, and now we can move on. And that's one of the ways that confidence shows up, because you don't have to overly impress. It's just about getting to the point. So when we are understanding how confidence is showing up in the workplace, just know that in addition to being like really clear and really efficient, it will also help you deal better with conflict. It will help you be happier because you're not holding things in. You can be able to express feedback. It will make you a better leader. It helps you receive things better. And it's just really with being in alignment. So when we go back to class one of the reasons I start with the core values, to be able to figure out that moral compass on what is important to you, it goes hand in hand with this. If you're unsure of your positioning, if you're unsure of your direction, if you're unsure of your vision or things that are super important to you, then you're always going to waver in this confidence because you're going to be chasing sales and chasing clients instead of being with what's aligned. But when all of those things are in place, the confidence is going to show up in a different way because you don't feel like you need to do business with everybody with a heartbeat and a pulse. You can work with the things that really excite you or that you can see that you have value. So when I think about how people are showing up, let's take our businesses out of places, right? someone who believes wholeheartedly that gluten is bad, right? Like they believe in celiac disease, they understand that, how gluten can really cause inflammation, they understand gluten intolerance. If they were having a conversation with someone that said, oh my gosh, this is such a trend, a couple of years will pass and I'll be back to eating wheat again. No matter what, the person who's been gluten intolerant, that has experienced those things, that is, has that belief, no one's going to change their opinion. But sometimes with business, our beliefs are not as strong because it's like, oh, I don't want to lose this client, or, oh, I don't want them to tell other people that this is the way I think. And it's being able to show up in your business and articulate, problem solve, do sales pitches, whatever it is, with the same assurity that we do in our personal lives as we do with our business lives. And that's really why we start with those core values and vision. But in other areas of your life, you have backbone, you're not really wavering there. So when we think about what you need to do, right? If you're working with coworkers, if you're working with clients, if you're at networking events, if you started to build a team, like how are some of the ways that you really can start to show up to be more confident? And just out of curiosity, I should have asked you guys in the beginning, but will you just type in the chat for me on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you feel like you are with confidence right now? And not in your personal life, but like with your business specifically. Like if you get on a sales call, if you got a bad Yelp review, if someone sent you a nasty email, if you were getting referrals, like throughout the whole spectrum, 1 being I'm not confident at all, and I would, have loose stools every time I think I have to get on a call, and 10 being like I'm a badass, you're an idiot if you don't hire me. Like, I don't know. Okay, Chelsea, I'm excited. Thank you for your transparency here. We're going to give you some tips here on how to grow, and how to feel like you're showing up more in that place. I want to just real quickly, I'll tell you guys a story. So I just got back from our Global Top Achievers, and I forget how this came up, but we were talking about past trips and like past destinations. And the very first incentive trip that I had ever won with the company, and I was brand new, was in St. Thomas. And I was incredibly overweight. I was single at the time. And even though I was like number 2 in the company, my confidence was so low, like I didn't feel deserving of going. Like I almost didn't go. And I remember telling my mentor, I was like, I'm not going. And I was listing all of these millionaires, all these people. I was like, so-and-so is going to be there. And she was like, yes. And that's the arena that you need to be in. And she saw me in such a different way. We're now, 9 years later, or 10 years later, my 9th trip. And the way I show up, and there's not arrogance, there's not cockiness, but it's, I understand who I am. I understand my value, who I'm learning from, how different of a person I am. And I was just telling Ryan when we were there, like I would be unrecognizable to him. If there was a way to go back and you could see how I was, in 2014 in St. Thomas, interacting with the same people that I was just with, because he never knew me that way because of the personal growth, because of the personal development. And so we go through this, I don't want you to feel like wherever you are right now is like a sticking point. It can change at any given point. We'll give you the tools to do it, but I want you to see the value because it will improve those relationships. It will improve the income you make. It will improve the people that you attract in. And a lot of it's starting with us. So when you have that confidence, you're going to be more assertive. You're going to be able to express what you want. You're going to be able to tell people when it's not working, and you're going to be able to attract in and hire clients as quickly as you can relinquish them. Right? It's the same thing with dating. People who are so desperate to have a relationship, they stick in situations that are not great for so long, as opposed to when they're more confident to feel like this is not a good fit. Like I'm good, like I'm moving on. There's somebody else out there with me, and you can see it in other people sometimes easier than you can see it with yourself. Another is that you'll do more. And it goes back to that ability and the belief in yourself. But whether that's you're posting more on social media, you're having more one-to-one appointments, you're hiring more people, you're doing more consultation calls. I mean, I'm like so proud of Kendra right now, but to say, hey, like it's May 2nd and I've met my quota, like I'm at my goal. There is definitely something inside of her now that her belief of what she's doing, the mission that she aligns with, the confidence that she has and the services that she's providing to people, that is doing that. I mean, you'll always see that. And the people whose confidence are low, they're going to fall below the meter. Those action items aren't happening because they're going, what's the point? Even if I do it, it's not going to work out for me. And a lot of this is a mindset shift. We definitely know that if you're thinking about working with other people, like employers would seek this out for employees, but even the people you want to partner with, the collaborations, the referrals, is they will seek people out that have certainty and clarity. Like if people don't know what you do and they don't know where you're going, they're not going to refer people to you. But if they go, this person means business, they know what she wants, where she's going, who she's doing it with, they're going to be able to refer other people to you. And it's really just knowing that people want to be around certainty. People want to be around confidence. People want to be around people that have credibility and they have clarity. So think about an example that has nothing to do with business. Okay. If I'm driving, let's say I'm in, Chicago and I've never been there. And I say, hey, I'm looking for this restaurant. Can you give me directions? And person A is like, oh yeah, I think if you go this way, it's like a couple blocks. And then if you turn left, I think it's Main Street. And then go a little bit more, it might be like a mile, maybe it's like 2 miles down the road. And then you go right, I forget the name of the street. It starts with an R, but then it should be there, right? So that's the directions from one person. Or the next person that says, hey, in 500 feet, take a hard right. You're going to see a McDonald's on the right. When you go down, hit Main Street, go left. There's a big purple building right there. It's directly in front of it. This is what you're looking for out front of it. Like, whose directions am I going to take? And the same is how we show up with our business, that certainty, that clarity, that conviction, and it's in what you're offering, because every single one of us has competition. Every single one of us has somebody, many people doing the same type of business. And think about when you were on the hiring side, what made you pick somebody? How did they show up that you went, okay, this is the attorney I'm hiring. This is the real estate agent I'm hiring. This is the massage therapist I'm hiring, whatever it may be. And for someone who is like maybe just trying to give the right answer, or they're wavering in the belief of their skills, what kept you from hiring them? And that's really the application of taking this idea of like, am I really confident, and how it's showing up into the workplace. A few things here, when you're thinking about if you're lacking confidence, or to kind of really work on starting to grow and shift in that area, part of it is like, you might have to change your viewpoint. Right. And I don't want you to be anything different than who you are, but instead of like focusing on what do people think about me, getting so clear on the impact you have on others. Like allowing your confidence to grow, because you're losing yourself in the empowerment of what you're doing, the ripple effect you're creating, the reason you got into business, and you're shifting less away from how many people have have hired me? What's the sales that I've done? What's, my bottom line this month? And it's like, how have I helped someone? And really starting to collect the stories. That's part of it. Another one is to acknowledge your achievements. I mean, I tell people all the time, as an entrepreneur, we've got to take time to recognize ourselves, because it doesn't happen. So if we think about if Jen was an employee in a med spa and she had some great referrals come in, or they had great testimonials on the website, or she was super booked, you would think the spa owner or the manager would be like, Jen, you're crushing it this month. You were employee of the month in April. This is why, blah, blah, blah. But when you're self-employed, there's not someone there always patting you on the back. And that we can get so lost in when things don't go well, right? When the return goes through, when there's a cancellation, when the numbers are down, then we have to remember to be like, man, I'm so proud of that newsletter that went out, or, oh my gosh, that person that wrote me and was so, excited about the services that I gave, or they referred somebody else. Like, to keep really a track of that, because that will grow your confidence. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, you guys, that I really, really love is to act confident, right? So I don't want you to be an arrogant person. I don't want you to be superficial, but to think about how do you show up no matter where you go? Because as soon as you leave, like your living room, right, or your kitchen or wherever, where you're not going to meet people, this is an opportunity for you to create relationships. Whether you're at a networking event, you're at the grocery store, you're at the gym, you're giving a presentation, how do you show up in a way that, number one, other people notice you, right? That when you go into a room, it goes, oh, like, and it draws people back, that you're a shaker and a mover, but that you also feel confident that if you have a conversation with someone. And I'll tell you guys, in my first couple of years of being self-employed, and I was super busy, and I would just it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna run out to Whole Foods real fast to like grab breakfast or something. And I'd have dirty hair, I'd be sweaty, I didn't have myself together. And I would run into some people, like some really great people, and I wasn't able to really engage with them because I felt like this small, right? Like little things. But when I say, you know what, I've got mascara on, lip gloss, at least my yoga pants are dry or they're clean, it doesn't have to be 10x everything. Whenever I end up chatting with someone and you have these organic relationships, it's like, okay, like I'm presenting myself in a way that there's alignment, that there's clarity. If you go to networking events, if you go to conferences, if you go to, continuing education seminars, whatever it might be in your wheelhouse, let's just say there's 200 people there, 300 people there. If you were to ask yourself a month later, who at that event stood out to you, it may be a presenter, maybe something that you learned. If there was a breakout session or a team exercise, it might be somebody that you kind of connected with, but often it's what somebody wore. You remember the person in the yellow high heels. You remember the girl that had like this badass, like red blazer or something. And that's not about the item of clothing. It's about the confidence that with everybody else in a room of black, that person had such a bold personality, we get drawn to it because it's like, I want to be that person. I want what they have. But it's not the business. It's not the income. It's really just that energy behind it. So it's tapping into you being able to just stand so tall and be so proud with what you offer. So when we're thinking again about growing yourself, I love the list of accomplishments. Definitely figuring out what are your personal strengths, what are your talents, do your affirmations, like remind yourself often. So I'm leaning into Kendra just because her swag is fresh in my head. But when it's like, I'm so thankful and grateful for meeting my quota in May, you know what I mean? And then it's like, I fill my June calendar with ease, with it's effortlessly and in flow that I'm booking my 4 new clients month to month to month, acknowledging what you've done and saying, because as a result of my networking, as a result of my skill set, my calendar is full through the rest of the year. Having those affirmations that are super aligned with the activities that we're doing, having realistic goals. You guys, when I think about as a personal trainer, this time of year specifically, when people were going to be going on weddings or they were going to be going on reunions, and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, I gained all this weight in COVID, or I gained all this weight in the winter. I need to lose 30 pounds by June. And I was like, we are not losing a pound a day, for the next 5 weeks. Like, it's unrealistic. But I say, hey, we can probably get you 5 to 10 pounds in the next couple of weeks and like kickstart everything. So whatever those realistic goals are. So Kendra, let's say she has her goal of 4 a month and she's hit that. As she starts to grow, it's not like, okay, I want 40 clients a month now, right? Like, to go from 4 to 40 is a huge jump. But as the time management grows, as her systems improve, that the things she's doing now will take her less time. And this is a new business, but she'll get faster and to be able to say, I think I can actually take 6 clients a month, or I think I can take 8, as those things start to change. Those are those goals then that she can start to put up there to be able to improve upon that. And then just really work on that positive self-talk. You guys, that's the belief in ourselves that then aligns with the action. We are our own worst critics. We say things to ourselves we would not say to anybody else. We say things to ourselves we wouldn't say to our worst enemies. And to really work on those affirmations, to really work on the noise in our head and understanding that that vibe and that energy has everything to do with how you show up and how other people show up for you. And that will help you with how you get on a call. That will help you with your one-to-one meetings. That will help you with presentations. That will help you with your referrals, because there's just an alignment with what you do and what you think about. So when we think about different ways that we show up with a team, okay? Because as an entrepreneur, there's so much that we do by ourselves. And then not all of you guys have employees and not all of you have team. Bless you, Kendra. Like, obviously I do in network marketing, but when you think about your team, this is your coworkers. These are your clients. These are your power partners. Like, even though you're in business for yourself, you don't do this all by yourself, all right? So when we think about what sets us apart, one of them is that they believe that they can perform the work well, and that when they put their mind to something, that they'll succeed. So that belief in that anything you set your mind to, you'll be able to accomplish is a huge part of it. And the second is that self-esteem. It's that self-worth. So if I am, Chelsea, and I'm thinking about growing my network marketing business, and I am recruiting people, I'm buying, hoping people buy into the vision, people are buying into the opportunity, that the first thing is that she's got to say, you know what, if I do these income producing activities, if I follow the systems, if I do what duplicates, I know it's going to work. I have the skill set to do this. That's the first part of it. And then the second is like, you know what, if Kendra can make this money, and if Crystal can make this money, and if Emily can make this money, and if Brooke can make this money, then you know what, I'm worth it as well. I'm following the things, I care about other people, right? And that value. Now, to the contrary, if it's like, it doesn't matter what I do, it's never going to happen to me, or this is not deserving of me, I should probably go back and get like a real job right now. Those are the resistance. Those are the limiting beliefs that are really, really going to hold us back. And so I want you to, first of all, think about where you are on this scale, right? And what do we need to do to shift, and where do we need to grow? But then I also would encourage you and challenge you to be able to kind of evaluate this with the people you're surrounding yourself with. Unrelated, have you guys ever read the book Attached? You guys heard of this? This is a great relationship book. And it basically is talking about that there's 3 types. There's the secure type, there's the anxious type, and the avoidant type. And where the most ideal relationship is 2 secure types. To the contrary, an anxious or avoidant type has to be with a secure type. Like anxious, avoidant, avoidant. It's always going to be a problem. It's always going to be a disaster. I'm bringing this up because when you're looking at these 2 attributes, specifically with working with other people, as much as it's important to do the self-reflection for ourselves, I want you to be able to do this with the people that you're aligning with. Okay, because if you start partnering with people that are Debbie Downers, that don't have that self-efficacy, that they don't believe that they're worth it, this is not the people that are going to get you closest to where you want to be. Jim Rohn always talks about you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And that you don't want to be the richest person in the room, the wealthiest person in the room, the smartest person in the room, the fittest person in the room, because then there's no room to grow. So when you start to look at the partnerships that you're creating, the people that you're working with, start to evaluate a little bit without being judgmental where they are, and just saying, is this person going to help me get closer to where I want to be? Is this person helping me grow, or are they holding me back? And being able to say, you know what, this isn't my power partner, or this isn't the person I want to do an event with, or this isn't the type of person that I want to collaborate with, because we're just simply not aligned right there. So how do we start building this? Like, what is it that we need to do? Because say, okay, you guys, I think the highest was an 8 when I asked you where you were on a scale of 1 to 10, a couple 7s, and the highest was an 8. We have to do things to be able to shift that needle, and no one's going to be a 10 out of 10 at all times. Otherwise, you probably are borderline a little bit arrogant. But we want to be able to grow the skill set. So part of that is by making yourself available, start hitting difficult issues head on, right? Doing any type of team confidence or activities, with other people that you might be working with. Obviously, try new things and being able to be like, okay, it didn't work. What am I going to do next? Because that builds your resistance, your kind of resilience meter. And then being able to have other people mentor each other, and that kind of ripple effect. So all of you have me, and I get to pour into you, and I get to encourage you, and I get to support you. But then where else in your life are people, filling up that cup? Where are people seeing the things that you are doing well as you're really, really growing and as you're developing yourself? When I think about the team issues, just put yourself in your own business for a second. And it's just saying, I'm not going to brush things underneath the carpet. I'm going to hit them head on the same way you would in a relationship. If something was festering you, like, let's just say Emily's one of my good friends, and every time we make plans, she cancels on me 10 minutes beforehand, right? Like she would never do this. I'm just giving you an example, right? But we live an hour apart from each other, and I'm like driving to go meet her, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm sorry, something came up, I'm not going to be able to make it. After the 3rd time or something, I would be like, dude, what's the deal? Like, I'm not going to keep getting in the car and driving all the way down there if you're not showing up. And we would hit that head on. Sometimes we don't want to do that in the business. So if you have someone, let's say, who's not paying you, and there's always excuses, to be able to be like, hey, I really want to work with you and I know that I can help you get here, but I'm tired of sending past due invoices. You know, if you're really interested in my services, I want you to make sure we're paying on time so that it respects the relationship. And if not, you know, I think I need to discontinue the working relationship. Whatever that may be, whatever's coming up, those are the things, again, that people just respect you and they don't see desperation, they see confidence. So when we think about how do we boost other people's confidence, you know, this can be for yourself, but it's as you start to work with other people, even if it's with your clients, because I think we live in a world that's like, shame on you, right? Or you didn't do enough. Like, look at traditional corporate America. It's very rare that people get the praise. It's very rare that there's accolades and acknowledgments, but it's like, this was late. You know, this T wasn't crossed. This I wasn't dotted. This wasn't done right. Next time we need to do here. And that's one of the reasons that we really create burnout. So when I think about a team and I'm leading, you know, other people, it's like, what inspires them? What motivates them? Like, how do we focus more on all the little things that are going well instead of what's not going well? But this is something that you can really show up with your clients as well, because they're hard on themselves the same way you are hard on yourself. And that's being able to see where they're improving, right? Like where they've come. Like, and I think about a financial advisor. You guys know how many people are so intimidated to sit down with financial advisors because they have to show all their cards, right? And people carry debt and they're not saving as much as they are. They're not making as much as they think they are. And as much as they need that help, they don't show all of their cards. And for that financial advisor to not have the judgment on like, hey, you're 80 grand in debt and you're only making 40,000 a year or something, but to say, you know what, in April, you saved this amount of money, you know, more than you have, like, good job. And just to focus on that. Or if there was a payment that was late, to say, hey, you know what, let's work on, you know, getting our notifications updated in the app so we don't have any more late payments. And just switching that focus, because now the confidence of the client is greater, that they see not only is there not judgment, but how much you're helping them. So when you think about the people you're working with, and it doesn't have to be a team like of employees, it can be your clients or it can be those referral partners. What are the ways that you can really kind of help them through any of those mistakes and really, really, really praise what's going well? Like, over the top, that it boosts their confidence, that they go, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that Jen, you know, is helping me right now, because they can see the improvements that they're making. When we think about just continuing to inspire confidence in others, because like attracts like, right? You want to be able to have more people in your organization doing the same types of things. One of the biggest ones that I think is really undervalued or not talked about enough is being an active listener. And I will tell you personally, this was one of the biggest areas of growth for me, and it's still an area I focus on. I'm a natural problem solver, right? Like, by default, I don't have a ton of empathy. I don't want to stay in this place that's uncomfortable. I'm a fixer. But there's enough people that have come to me and said, Lauren, I don't need you to just fix it right away. I just need you to listen. Like, people need to be able to get that off. That allows other people to trust you, and for you to be able to show up and say, okay, I'm just going to be here for you, right? And I'm confident enough to be the sounding board, or I'm confident enough to let all of this happen and not feel like, okay, there always has to be a solution right away. It builds trust, it builds camaraderie. You know, having these checklists, having a tracking system. Are you guys familiar with KPIs, key performance indicators? You guys heard that word? It's used more in corporate America, but if like a CEO or a CFO was going to be working with a sales team or working with an organization, there would be like monthly, quarterly, annual targets so that they can look at the organization and objectively, not subjectively, being like, okay, where are we at? How are we making these things happen? And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we're not doing that. So whatever is in place, and I know Kendra worked with a business coach before this, so I'm sure some of that was there, but that the number was 4 in a month. Right? Like, that's a key performance indicator, because if she's under 4, she's below target. If she's over 4, she's above target, but that's a way that she can be tracking it. So when you're thinking about like, hey, I don't want to just at the end of the month be like, did I do a good job in May? Like, did I make an impact? What are some of the areas that you can track, whether it's retention, it's new client growth, it's income that you need to do with closed business, it's referrals, it's speaking gigs. anything that then you can look back and say, oh my gosh, I've done all of these things, that will then help the confidence moving forward. And I cannot encourage enough just to really, really celebrate the small stuff. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we wait for this like big aha. It's the same with weight loss. You don't just get to the 40 pounds and then be like, oh my gosh, I've lost 40 pounds. You celebrate 2, you celebrate 5, you celebrate 8, as you went from a size 14 to a size 12, a size 12 to a size 10, whatever that is. Along that journey, there's many, many milestones, and to be able to do that with your business as well, because you're focusing on the progress, right? You're not focusing on the end result. So here's a few different traits that for you being the leader that will really help how other people perceive you. To of course have inclusive leadership. You don't ever want to get into a place of like my way or the highway. Working on empathy, having goals with other people, being able to give and receive feedback. And one of the things that I think is really, really important here is this, what we call psychological safety and trust. You want people to know that they can be vulnerable. You want people to know that they can trust you, and that you're not going to be passive aggressive, right? That you're not going to shut down, that you're not going to be judgment, that can be really challenging for someone to share things, and for you as a leader to be able to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let me see how I can help you, is really, really important here. And the last little thing that I'll say, before I put you guys in the breakout room, I think that leadership is a huge responsibility. And I think that we see it differently. Like we might see presidents or senators or CEOs as leaders. And we don't realize that as moms, you're a leader. As a business owner, you're a leader. As an entrepreneur, that you're a leader. As people that are hiring you for services. When you can really start to accept that and say, okay, I am a leader, like I'm making a difference. My business has a vision. It has a mission statement. We have core values. This is the impact that I want to make. And first of all, just take that radical responsibility of who you are and how you're showing up is huge. And then to say, okay, what can I do to get better? Have you guys ever read or heard the book, The Vision-Led Leader? I hope I'm telling you the name of that right now. The Vision-Driven Leader. Sorry, I had to look at it. The Vision-Driven Leader. Have you guys heard of that? It's a really, really, really good book. It's another one I highly recommend. But it opens up basically talking about JFK, and like the reason that he was such a monumental leader was because he could vision cast. He was able to get people to see themselves in a place they hadn't gone yet, right? And the example they use is that he talked about going to the moon, right? Like never, ever in the 1950s was it like, we're going to go to the moon, but he came into his presidency and almost declared it right away. Like, we're going to put the first people on the moon, and this is what's happening. And the book then continues on about how important it is in leadership to be able to have vision, for people to see themselves in a place they haven't gone yet. And every single one of you can do that. So Jen, that might be people, how they physically are looking, Kendra, that's for people to not have stress about what happens to their kids, what happens to their pets if something, happens. That's for other people working with Emily and Chelsea in the network marketing space to say, you guys have what I want, and like, I trust this person and you can create this kind of opportunity for me. So once you have that level of acceptance that you are a leader and people are coming to you because they trust you and they want you to impact their lives, here's some of the areas that you can really grow. First of all, I'm a big fan of reading, right? Like, you're only going to grow your business to the extent you grow yourself. And we are inundated with so many negative influences today, from the media, from the music, to songs, to other people's drama, that to be able to plant those seeds of just growing whatever you want to flourish in your mind on a daily basis. I also think going into a leadership program is huge. So I've done John Maxwell's leadership training. It's one of the best. Done a few other like coaching programs, done a lot of things for the network marketing company, but something that helps you with that skill set, something that helps you with that accountability, for sure have some type of that tracking system and the goals, that it's not subjective, because we can really fall into these highs and lows, and we want to make sure that it's aligned. Having other leaders or having a network of people that you can learn from, what are you doing that's going well in your profession, in your industry, or what didn't go so well? What's a curveball that you got that maybe I can kind of prevent? And I also think just volunteering is super important because it's a way that we can give back, and it's a way for people to see this person's in business not for a monetary level, but this person's in business because they believe what they do, because they have enough time, they have enough, core value of contribution, they have enough servant leadership awareness to say, well, how can I help other people? Like, I'm so lucky and gifted to be able to do this. Where am I giving back? People trust that. People say, oh my gosh, that's the type of person I want to be around. That's the type of person that I admire. That's the type of person I want to do business with. Another guy, Robin Sharma, he's the guy at the 5 a.m. club, but he talks about leaders without a title, and basically this ripple effect of people who have shown up in the world and had magnanimous effects, but they went underneath the radar, right? Because it was never about the recognition. It was never about the publication. It was just about doing better for others. And some of the best leaders that I know are those types of people that just constantly say, what can I do to make the lives of other people better? And it shows up as a just domino effect in your business. So I want you guys to go into the rooms right now, and I want you to discuss just a little bit on, how you're feeling overall with the acceptance of being a leader. Okay. How are you showing up in a way of like the confidence? Like, do I feel really confident when I put a post up? Do I feel really confident when I do an event? Do I feel real confident when I recruit someone? And then what were some of the bigger takeaways on how you can shift that? What you need to do to feel more confident on a sales call, to feel more confident in your recruiting, to feel more confident in your branding, and what resources that maybe you guys can kind of share with each other, that we all can move that belief meter a little bit higher. So I'm gonna put you guys in the breakout room and take you out in about like 8 minutes, just so you know, that's the time you have. We lost Jen.
Down. Bye.
Anyways, I just want to see what takeaways you have. Hi, girls. Look at little Hazel and Evie. After your little breakout rooms, share with me any of the takeaways or things that you were maybe learned, things you're going to do, things that you helped each other.
You know, something that I've come to the realization of, I have a decent amount of confidence, but when I'm representing other people in the team, all of a sudden my confidence is completely unwavering and I get like 3, 5 enrollments. And then all of a sudden when I'm doing it for myself and being in front of somebody or hosting an event, I'm not as confident and I don't get nearly the amount of enrollments. There's this self-doubt. Can I do this? Am I right? You know? So I don't quite know why, but it's like, I got to show up for that person. I got to do my very, very best so I can do the best for my team. Sorry. She's just, yeah.
No, don't apologize at all. So think about this outside of like your business, right? Like dating, you could set up one of your best friends on a blind date and sell that person way easier than you could ever show up for yourself on a blind date, right? Like, I mean, because that you introducing your friend, you're not getting rejected, right? Like on the date yourself, like you have the ability to get rejected. So part of that is that mindset, you know, and like when you're defending your team or advocating for your team or positioning your team, whatever that is, you see all of their good stuff. You're not seeing all the flaws now with yourself. And it's like, oh, if they don't do this, or what if I didn't say this right? Or we get in that comparison thing. And so then that's part of that growth of those activities of like going back to the small achievements, like before you're in that situation, like what did you do in the last week? What did you do in the last month? That was badass, that you start to like boost your confidence. You know, when you start to look at your success record, you start to look at the track record, you start to think about, you know, the compliments you've had, the referrals that you've had, and you kind of have to like almost like pump yourself up. And I don't like to say fake it till I make it, but you know, to get in that mindset that you're doing of it. And then that type of the mindset and the belief is what creates the action. And then the more you do it, it reinforces it. I'm like, oh, I could do that. The same with people like, I'm not a runner. And people that want to be a runner, every time they go from not running to then I ran a mile, then I ran 2 miles, then it's like, oh, over the last month, I've run 10 miles. You start to like change the story in your head and that narrative. So just use that, not the analogy, but like, you know, just think about that example. Like if you could sell your best friend on the blind date, what would you do for yourself? You know what I mean? Like the exact same person, or what would somebody else say about you? Like if I was going to do that call for you, how would I position you? How would I edify you? And you almost have to borrow that other person's belief to get into it. And I would say leverage that. Like if Kathy was going to introduce you, if Sheila was going to introduce you, if I was going to introduce you, and tap into the energy that you could borrow from one of us doing it. That was great. Any other takeaways? Any other shares for today? All right. Well, happy Tuesday. I'm going to get all the recordings. I have them up on my YouTube, up on the discussion page, and then I'll send you your coaching log as well. If you guys need things in between the calls, please reach out to me. Please text me. I know I was gone last week, but I'm around. I'm happy to do some things one-on-one and just kind of work through it. But putting some time into those logs, I know that will help apply these lessons into your individual business. So I appreciate you guys. Have an awesome, awesome week, and I'll chat soon. Bye.